Hello, 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 everybody. Everybody, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Sweet Lou Special. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Hey, we're here. We're live. We're back at it. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. Hey, happy Monday. I hope everyone is having a great start to the great week. I hope everyone is enjoying it. And I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Really awesome. Hey, it's springtime. It's here in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. A little bit cloudy and rainy, but it's beautiful outside. It's great. Man, beautiful. Moving on. Sorry for the little bit of delay. Like I said, I'm here right on time for the most part. But hey, we got a great episode of the Sweet Lou Special for everyone. And so I really want to thank everyone out there that has been following me on Instagram, on my Facebook page. Great, man. I love, appreciate it all, every bit of it. Everyone coming out wanting to watch my content. I want to see all the posts, some funny, some political, and everything. I want to really engage the audience. We had some good replays of Friday night's episode on Saturday morning. Also want to say that after this live recording, we will be going live with the same episode on Facebook. Just a replay. If you miss it here live on YouTube, hit me up on my Facebook page. Information's at the bottom of the description. You can find me at the Sweet Lou Special on Facebook. Like the page, and that way you guys can get all the current updates and even live replays of the episode if you happen to miss it at 11 o'clock. That way around 12:15, 12:30-ish, we'll get a live replay for everyone. That way you can get every single bit of the show. All right. Woo! All right. Great weekend. Let's see here. All right. Great. So I always got to make sure the sound's good. All right. Hey, also, I want to start off today. I really want to give a big special thank you and a shout out to the Eli Gallery. Okay, they came out. It's a veteran-owned business owned by a good friend of mine, Elias Ibe. He does these professional photographs. He just invested a lot of money into his equipment. Man, professional grade photography. If you haven't seen it, here's some samples of some pictures that he took of me for my show, for my Instagram, for my Facebook yesterday. Beautiful pictures, man. Got a lot of likes, man. A lot of love and support for it. Hey, look him up on my Instagram page. That's the Eli Gallery. All right. I've known this man for quite some time. We were even in Iraq together 10 years ago. Luckily, we happened to meet up again. He's living out here in Washington. So it's great to be able to support him and him supporting me. I can't thank him enough. And a lot of love from a lot of different people, man. We're always working more and more. I'm always working hard to get you guys the best content, the best videos, try to make everything better. Little by little, day by day. All right. So I appreciate it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, information again is in the description. And that's at SweetLou777. And like to say thank you all again for coming out. If you're watching here on YouTube, don't be afraid to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That way you guys can get the updates on all my videos, on all my content that are released out day by day. And to also let everyone know, now that the spring has started, it's going to be a new week. I'm going to be giving you guys a steady schedule of what's to expect of me when I come out live. So Monday through Wednesdays, it's going to be at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be going live with episode replay on my Facebook channel, tentatively at 12:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, immediately after the show. That way you guys can watch again if you happen to miss it. And you can find both videos here on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. The Sweet Lou Special. All right, hey. let's get started on today's episode. All right, biggest news that happened as of yesterday was the resignation of Nielsen. All right, she is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. She had reportedly contacted President Trump yesterday and let him know that she will be resigning from her position. And so this thing, it all comes from the entire border crisis that's happening here in the United States with the U.S. and Mexico border. Pressure on her came from the president, who has been fighting the border crisis and had allegedly requested that Nielsen get rid of this asylum policy that was made into law by Congress. And there's been laws about getting the migrants over the border, different kind of loopholes ever since the Bush administration. And so the current issue that they're having right now is with this asylum law. It basically states that if migrants are coming to the border, Border Patrol cannot turn them around as long as they verbally claim that they're seeking asylum, and with fears that they're going to be murdered or be hurt if they get sent back to their country of origin. Now, obviously, the intent of this was probably good-hearted in nature, and from my understanding, it came in through the Obama administration in lieu of a different policy, Bush-era policy, and I forget what it was off the top of my head. But anyway, if you say the right words, the magic, open sesame, come right on in. Do you think that people are going to abuse this? Absolutely. Do you think that they don't know that this is a way of getting in? From my understanding and what I've been reading is that even the migrants have been coached by lawyers or by organizers, to be able to say the right thing when they come to the border. That way they can get across. Most previous recent issue was separating families. And so, the president put pressure on Miss Nielsen about getting rid of that asylum policy, okay? And she kept saying that she couldn't because this was pressure put on by Congress and that she cannot do it legally. Congress has to change that law. And so, do I think that the woman did a bad job? I don't know. I didn't even know really much of her name. She wasn't really talked about until yesterday when it came out to being fired, or we could call it fired or being resigning from her position. Either way. So she claims that if she would have changed the policy, they would have broken the law. I can understand that. CYA, cover your ass. And when a superior really comes up and tells you to break the law, you're not supposed to, and I get that. I fully respect that. As much as I have respect for President Trump, I'm not saying that every single thing that he does is correct, right, or moral, but for the most part, he's heading the country in the right direction. Now, I have the right to have my free speech and say that I agree on this and I can disagree on that. And I think that the problem that we have in society today is that if I come out and I claim that I'm a Trump supporter, that I'm really going and I'm really supporting 100% of everything that he does, which is not the case, okay? Yes, I support my president. I supported Obama. He's been my president. Got it, We're supposed to have some kind of pride and patriotism to the president of the United States, and not think that every step that they make is trying to really screw over the American people, which is not. Now, this is something that I kind of I'm a little teetering on. I not necessarily agree with kind of the forcing resignation of Miss Nielsen, Secretary Nielsen. I'll refer her to that. But, her hands were tied. What was she supposed to do? Say, hey, okay, yeah, I'm going to jeopardize my career. I'm going to jeopardize my freedom and, morals or values by not breaking the law. And I completely respect that. Now, I may be wrong, but President Trump has had many cabinet secretaries resign. Okay, and I put, to include General Mattis, which everyone in the veteran community love and respect. And when President Trump won the election and became president, he announced before being inaugurated that he was going to have General James Mattis of the United States Marine Corps, 43 years, I believe he did, become the Secretary of the Department of Defense, which everyone in the military community was super damn excited about it. I was, even though that was about the end of my military career, but I thought, man, this man, is going to do great things for the military. Anyway, getting off, but also to include people like John Kelly, Sean Spicer. These are just to name a few people that have resigned from their positions under the Trump administration. Now, I get it that some of them, and I believe like even General Mattis, was a legitimate resignation. And that, but however, I do feel like there is pressure put on by the president to these secretaries or to like all these personnel in his cabinets to resign before he formally fires them. Because I'm going to say probably the majority of the time he is firing these people. It's a firing, and it's just, a publicity thing to say, hey, why don't you come out and resign? That way we're not all embarrassed about you being fired in public. Okay, got it. That's what I think it is. It's just a nice way of saying you're fired, pack your shit, get the hell out of here. Now, if you guys want to take a look at the number of cabinet personnel that have resigned or been fired under the Trump administration, it has been a lot of people. I didn't even count them. I looked them up, and I was just scrolling, and I was thinking, oh, it's probably going to be like 15, 20. No, I think it's even far more than that. And so that's why I urge you, the viewers, to really like look at that if you guys want to get a clear picture of how many personnel have been like resigned or fired, under the Trump administration. The number is phenomenal. I don't know what the standard number is. I didn't really pay attention to that in the Obama administration or any other administrations before that. So I don't know if that's a presidential norm or if this is just a shock to the entire system and country that like the president has so many people come in and out. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. People may criticize President Trump on that, saying that he can't really handle his administration and his cabinets accordingly or appropriately, and that he's just firing people left and right without any care. And I look at it this way, all right? The man has been a businessman basically his majority of his entire life, if not entire. And the way that he is used to handling things in his businesses, ventures, and other things, especially now in the presidency, it seems to be a constant shift of people coming in and out. Hey, if you're not doing your job to the president or to the, to his standard, he doesn't have any problems or troubles or worries about letting you go. And so that's just the way he is. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks. The man is a billionaire, and he didn't get that way by being, nice and handing out hugs to everyone. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing of like the turnaround rates of personnel coming in and out. Do I think that the Department of Homeland Security probably could have been handled better with Secretary Nielsen? Maybe not. But I just think that that's just the way he is, and that he expects 100%, 110% from his secretaries and from all the personnel that he employs under his cabinets. So it's difficult to gauge the quality of work that Secretary Nielsen had performed. But I know that the border debacle has been a hot topic for some time. And even recently with the Border Patrol agents coming out publicly because President Trump had been down there in Las Vegas and went down, recently been down south to near the border. They were coming out and saying that they have issues with personnel, Border Patrol personnel, not keeping up. They don't have enough numbers. They don't have enough equipment to properly perform their job, and that there's these loopholes that the migrants are exploiting and being able to use to get across into the United States. So that didn't look favorable for Secretary Nielsen, that's for sure. And Yeah, that probably looked real bad. I think that was really the nail that hit the coffin. Man, last nail in the coffin. What is it proper? Anyway, that was what did it. The straw that broke the camel's back. It didn't really make her look that great. All right, it probably showed some incompetency on her side, not being able to properly equip or properly employ, the right resources there on the border, and I don't think it was. And it wasn't a secret at all that the U.S.-Mexican border is like a hot topic, if not like the number one thing that the president wants to make fixed and make it happen like right now in this day. With any other foreign policy, anything else going on in the world, this is his number one that I feel. So, well, one thing that I hope that we can all agree on is that the blame for these legal loopholes of asylum, and the families coming across, well, maybe not the families, but especially the asylum loophole, that we can all agree that does not fall on the shoulders of Secretary Nielsen. I don't think so, not at all, because again, like I said previously, her hands were tied on this entire situation. And that she was very limited on what she could do with this policy. So, but who can we put this more on? Let's put it on the Democrats in Congress, right? Because they're playing these fuck games of back and forth, not wanting to budge at all about about making the borders open borders for the immigrants to come through just freely, unvetted, which is wrong. I don't feel like that is the right thing to do at all. We can't just have open borders, man. We can't just allow like any Joe Blow to just walk right on through. There is a due process to this entire situation, to the entire thing. You got to do the right legal thing to do. Right legal thing, when it comes to this, and there's so many great legal residents, and great Americans out there that really busted their ass to become Americans, become legal residents, fled their country of origin when they had shit in their pockets, nothing, and worked their asses off here in this country, only to be like, hey, your hard work, it didn't mean for shit because, hey, now you could just allow any Joe Blow to fucking walk right on in? No, it's not. And that's the thing about the Republican Party is, appreciation of hard work, and we feel like that's what it's about being American. Now, there's nothing wrong about legal immigration, I believe. Let me find the picture because it was kind of funny. And I'll share it with you guys. Let's see, where did he put it? Oh no, it's not here. See, this is kind of the problems of not having a staff. I got, doing everything. But it's great. I have a lot of fun. Let's see if I can find that picture. Dang it. Oh no. Thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, basically what this picture was, it was kind of a meme made, and this young woman had got her citizenship, and she was like, got my citizenship, let's put it in the face of of all the Trump supporters, and all the Republicans. So this guy responds, this is exactly what Republicans want. This is exactly what Trump supporters want. They want you to get legal and, become legal. They want you to become a citizen. We're not against that shit. To think that it's absurd because we just want you to go through the right legal way, and the moral way of going through it. Not just because you just can't allow the borders to be open like that. You never know who the hell is coming across. They get all the kind of drugs, all the different kind of sex trafficking. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, the Bush era law had stated that if kids were being brought over the border it the Obama era, by coyotes, which are like people paid to take like family members, take anyone just across the border. But if they were caught, if someone was being caught going across the border and they were going to be sold and used as sex trafficking or, sex workers in the United States, then they can get free entry, basically walk right in. So, they exploited that too. Here it is. Found it. I thought this was kind of funny. Right here. Yeah, Barbara likes cream pie. Kind of an interesting name. That's, yeah. After 7 years, your girl is finally a U.S. citizen. Real truth to make a Trump supporter mad. LMAO. I think this one, RT. Real truth, right? That's literally what Trump supporters want. That is literally what we want. So, get off your high horse. Whatever. To each his own. So, now, going back on putting the blame onto the Democrats here. So, now I have a theory. I have a belief of what I think the reason why the Democrats really want to open the borders, allow migrants to come through willfully, freely, whatever. Is that so that it goes back hand to hand with the entire situation of Democrats really wanting to push for allowing illegal immigrants to vote in American elections. I think that this goes hand in hand. I think that's why. When it comes down to the core root of why they want to have this happen is because they want to allow them to vote in our elections, basically. Okay? And it's a big scheme, which I feel that it is because I see all this and I'm just coming to my own conclusions. Okay? I don't see like any other facts, point out in black and white that I can tell you that, this is not going to be a ploy for this because it's proven. This is fact. The Democrats want to allow illegal aliens to vote. I think California even currently allows them to. I'm not certain on that. That's something I'm going to have to look up. But what else does it look like? I mean, like, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck, right? So, allow illegals to vote and allow illegals to freely come into the country. Who are they more likely to vote for? The people and the politicians that are allowing them to these privileges of coming into the country and allowing them these privileges to vote. They're probably going to vote for them, right? More than likely, they're going to vote Democrat. And so they know this. And so it's just a big scheme to intensify the numbers of the Democratic elected officials in Congress. That's the way I feel, right? Even Bernie Sanders, who came out the other day stating while he was in Iowa that states should allow their convicted felons to vote while they're incarcerated behind bars. Because again, who are they more likely going to vote for? Probably Democrats, if they even vote at all, or even if they even give a shit. I'm telling you that this seems to be an eye-opening scheme of allowing these people to vote, to increase the numbers of people voting. It's so funny that like the Bernie Sanders that came out and said this, because I was thinking the same thing the other day. Like literally right before I read this, I think it was probably Saturday or Friday. I was thinking like, man, what's the next thing that they're going to do? Allow felons to poly vote? Which, it's one topic, it's one thing to say, hey, felons that have already done their time, they're free people out on the streets, try to integrate them back into society so that they're working and contributing members to the American society. That's one thing. And I think that if they have, done their time, they're contributing, doing everything right, that they should have their rights to vote reinstated. That is something I think, to make them feel like more part of American society after they fucked up somewhere, whatever the situation is. But I mean, to say that even convicted felons while incarcerated should be just given ballots to vote, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, can we really trust? I don't know. They're not even allowed to have guns. So, I'm curious about what you guys think on that one. But to me, this is absolutely crazy. The entire thing is just crazy. And I think that it's just a major Democratic design. That it doesn't put the American people's interest as a priority. But more of what it is just a political pissing contest, where the Democrats are willing to compromise the security and safety of the American people in hopes to maintain and gain an overwhelming control over the government. They don't want to give up their seats, obviously. So what it is just a back and forth. They're just wanting to come up with create these new laws, change the rules of the game so that, to prevent conservatives and Republicans from becoming elected. So if they get overwhelming numbers of people that are more likely to vote Democrat, then, that's what they're pushing for. When they could be fighting for other things like providing more jobs, making sure that people are employed, working on the opioid crisis. There's so many other problems that are going on right now. And in my opinion, America, we started off as building a foundation, right? And now America, after 200 somewhat years, we're this big, awesome mansion built on this great foundation, right? And we're living in the greatest country, in the greatest time in history, where we have so much advanced technology in the past 100 years. So much advancement that just in the last 100 years, in comparison to all of mankind put together, we're living in a great, awesome fucking time. We don't have to worry about not eating. Starvation is not an issue. But what we are is that we're this big mansion, party mansion, on a great foundation, but sometimes things break in the house, right? In the mansion. Sometimes plumbing needs to be tweaked. Sometimes, you get mold. A door breaks. Whatever. We're just fine-tuning these small things that are happening. That's the way I feel. Granted, but we still have our problems. And regardless of no matter how hard you try, there's always going to be some kind of issues going on. And that's where we're at. We need to fix and fine-tune these issues that are going on in the United States. Instead of having to worry, or instead of having our elected officials just bend and twist and create these outrageous laws just so that they can just gain political power, because that's all they want. That's all they give a shit about. If you think that a lot of these or some of these elected politicians really give two shits about its people, they care if you provide them campaign funds. If you donate money, yeah. And that was proven even during the Seattle City Council meeting that was put on blast not too long ago. Them looking at their cell phones and shit, not even caring about the citizen that was trying to speak and had the right to, and limiting his time and stuff like that, being completely rude. It just shows it. That's what Democrats and progressive socialists are all about. They don't give a shit. They care if you provide them campaign funds. That's goes to the mighty dollar. And they're putting us at risk by trying to create these laws and policies and people walking in. It's just crazy. And so President Trump is even continuing to try to reinstate the child separation policy that he had created a executive order, I believe it was in January, stopping the separation of families at the border because there was backlash and videos of showing children not with their parents while the parents have to go through the legal process of seeing a judge. It could take however long. And, did the families not know that this was going to happen? I mean, I get it. And then some people will say that it was inhumane. Even AOC is continuing to say that it's inhumane, the treatment of people at these facilities at the border. And again, as I mentioned before, the pictures that I've seen, it didn't look all that terrible. I mean, granted, yeah, you see cages and you see chain link fences, but what are you supposed to do with them? I mean, have a rec center, an open field, and put them on a ranch. I mean, if you come up with a better solution, which is their solution is just let them go. Let them be in the United States. That's their solution to the problem. But he wants to, and he's wanting to reverse his executive order and start, cracking down heavy. And, this all comes from people crossing the border, and as even the Border Patrol agent has said live on TV that people are coming across with fake families, knowing that they're not going to get separated, and, they got a higher chances of getting across the border. Fake families, they adapt to our laws, they adapt to our policies. It's not like it's private or it's a secret, it gets really put out there pretty openly about our laws. You just go on the media and you can see and hear it. So, I'm curious about what you guys think. About you, the viewer. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm full of shit? You think there's a better approach to this entire situation, better way to handle it? I want you guys to please share your thoughts and ideas in the comments section, okay? I'd really like to know what your point of view is. Really like to know, how can we make this situation better? How can we please both sides? Is there even a possibility of pleasing both sides? Which I don't think there is, but, and, I'd like to know. I would love to see what your views are on this matter, and as it intensifies more and more each day. Now, small bit here that was put out today. Iran has allegedly declared the United States Armed Forces as a terrorist group. Oh boy, what the hell are we going to do now? We're a terrorist organization now, according to Iran. Man, we're fucked now. What are we? Okay, that's it. That's your best that you got. Wow, you got us shaken. You got us offended as fuck, man. Wow, my heart is broken. We've been fighting against terrorists for so long now. Now the U.S. Armed Forces is a terrorist organization, according to Iran. Let's fucking sound the alarms. Man, this is just another attack from the Iranian regime, in attempts to discredit the United States. These type of verbal and political attacks have been happening for years now. It's not going to slow down. It's just going to get worse probably, and more and more. Wow, they got us good on that one. We're a terrorist organization. Let's fucking call up NATO now. Let's alert the UN, man. We got the U.S. Armed Forces is a terrorist organization according to Iran. Get the fuck out of here, man. Whatever. It's just the dog barking, small dog barking, and no one gives a shit. No one cares. I just thought it would be funny to kind of share this, because it used to be North Korea would put out some senseless bullshit about the United States. United States this, United States the devil. The state-run news stations show up bombing of the United States, which now they're doing that shit in Iran. And it's kind of funny how it's kind of turned now from the concentration on North Korea, and now Iran's putting the hate on us. Which, okay, like I said, it's been happening for years. They've been, and especially it's going to pick up ever since the United States, had pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, hell, they didn't even like us during the nuclear deal, while it was in effect. So, I mean, you can't please them. Their government is just, it's a totalitarian government. I mean, it's crazy how they just, they freely silence their own people. I mean, Iran has been known to capture Americans that either travel into the country, and arrest them on alleged charges of talking bad about the Iranian government. I believe there was that issue not too long ago with the sailors that were caught in the sea there. They were eventually released, after being detained and questioned, and try to get as much information out of them and stuff like that. But the country has been known to censor its people and monitor everything that is said or put online. They control the internet, they control the news, they control the media, they control it all. And you say one bad thing about the about the dictator, or whatever you want to call him, the president. You know, oh God, that'll put you right behind bars. There's no freedom of speech. I mean, not too long ago, you know, the country had a series of protests by young adults. They were going through the streets, chanting, protesting against the Iranian government not being able to provide jobs for them. They were living in poverty. What did the country do? What did the state do? They censored. They shut down the internet. Made sure that it wasn't covered in the news. No news outlets or journalists were allowed in. They wanted to make sure no one knew about it. And that it wouldn't cause an uproar, and that they weren't treating their people unfairly. Which was a crock of shit. Of course they were. And of course they continued to. I mean, they shut down, you know, cell phone services even, so people couldn't even upload videos. Some of them did leak. They got through. It's great. Gave us an eye opening, but that it happened, and then it just dropped off, you know. And again, as I mentioned before, to me it seems that, you know, Iran has become the new North Korea. It's slanderous attacks towards the United States. You know, we used to be worried about bombs flying over the United States for many years, you know, previous generations. You know, but I think the people have gotten so used to these fake, false threats that we're like, whatever, we'll see if it happens. Who gives a shit? You know, like, we know it's not going to happen. They ain't going to do anything. No way. You know, and it's not the first time we're going to continue to receive threats from this totalitarian regime. You know, and like I said, I find it kind of humorous that, you know, the American people used to feel so threatened with nuclear bombs during the Cold War. You know, that people used to actually build you know, bunkers and prep for doomsday, you know, the fallout of the 20th century. And, you know, schools even practice bombing drills in the event of an attack. Now the current generation and even the older generation be like, whatever. We're not getting in an uproar or worried too much about shit really happening here on our home soil. Full of shit. Kind of funny. We're just like, you know, you keep threatening. 50 years go by and you're like, well, shit hasn't happened yet, you know, just waiting for it to happen. Calling your bullshit. Now, all right, so on to some military matters. All right, and I shared this on my Facebook page, and you know, got some responses from it. Now, I watched the interesting. So this what it is. It's this interesting clip that I shared from Fox News' Pete Hegseth. You can find the clip on my Facebook page. And I'd like to get your guys' view and opinion on it. But he was basically claiming that the VA has this tremendous amount of money being spent on veterans that use the VA healthcare system and VA compensation. And he was comparing it to World War II, veterans after World War II. And the numbers that he reported was like there was like 1 million and some change of veterans that were using the VA healthcare system after World War II and were receiving some kind of VA compensation. And now we have a little over 4 million people that use, or veterans that use, the VA healthcare system and receive some kind of VA compensation. Now, the population, for one thing, has increased tremendously since the 40s. So there's that. Some numbers. And so, So Hegseth, he also claimed that the VA's job is to cover like a specific ailment of a veteran, that had been injured while in service. If they got TBI, lost an arm, that only that specific part should be covered by the VA. That's what I gathered from what he was saying. And then he claimed that in his current healthy condition that he can easily get 50% from the VA for his back, hearing, sight, whatever is what he made, the claim that he made, right? Now, let me point out a few flaws in Hegseth's facts and reasoning here, all right? Now let's start with the numbers. Now, Granted, 16 million people served in the armed forces during World War II, and that lasted less than 4 years. And we did suffer many more deaths in World War II than in Afghanistan and Iraq. And the only war in that 20th century that had more casualties and deaths was the Vietnam War. Got it. However, we've been in Afghanistan in a conflict in this war for almost 20 years now. It's going to become 20 years in 2 years. So 18 now. We want to be specific. Now, the survival rate in the most recent wars have increased tremendously. We haven't had anywhere near the amount of casualties and deaths in comparison to Vietnam, World War II, which is great. I believe only 4,000 somewhat casualties in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Overall, those are great numbers. I mean, we don't want to lose any, to be honest with you. But in comparison to the other conflicts and other wars in the last 100 years, we've really progressed in making equipment better and training better to help lower those numbers and to save service members' lives, which is the most important thing, right? Now, like I mentioned before, the Vietnam War has had more deaths than any recent American war. And the advocacy of veterans getting taken care of has improved tremendously. Now, the flaw in his logic was that thinking that every service member that got out of World War II and even Vietnam, that they were getting compensation, which wasn't the case. A lot of them went without help. A lot of them went without any kind of compensation. Either they weren't taken care of, the resources weren't there, laws were not set in place, or policies were not made to take care of these brave men and women who had served their country and came back home with jack shit and getting spit in their face, especially in the Vietnam War. And so now we've progressed with policy to try to help our veterans more and more as they get out, so that they don't get stranded, so that they don't become homeless, so that they don't go out and blow their heads off because they're not getting the right treatment that they should. So Hegseth's logic is completely misskewed. Now, I agree with him on one aspect, that there have been people that have gone into the service with prior existing conditions and have abused the system, getting med-boarded out for something that they had previously and received compensation for it. There's leaks. There's always going to be leaks, and that's some of them. In my personal experience, is what I've seen, is what I've witnessed. So I know that part's true. But in the overall scheme of things, we are helping out our veterans more and more. Yes, we want them to take advantage and use government programs that are set in place to help veterans. We want to make sure that they're set up for success once they get out. Is there anything wrong with that? Do you think that 4 somewhat million people, and veterans I mean, that are using the healthcare system and getting compensation, you think that's a bad thing? That's 4 million people that put their lives at risk, that signed up, and I'm going off the assumption here that Hegseth never served in the active military. Probably didn't even deploy either, if he did, maybe. I don't know. I don't know his background. I could look it up, and if he has, go ahead and share that. But I'm going to go off the assumption that he's never served. So for him to point the finger at others saying that, oh, we're abusing the system, he's making it sound like the VA healthcare system is like living on cloud 9, when it's not. You have service members, colonels, that don't even get their appropriate mental health care and kill themselves in the parking lot. I mean, my personal experience, I had to wait over a month just to get an eye exam from the VA. You think that we're really stealing from the government here? We're really taking full advantage of the government here. No, the government provided healthcare system has its flaws. That's why we've been going through this argument in politics for a while now about having government-run healthcare provided for everyone in comparison to private sector healthcare. I believe Finland or one of the European countries had just gotten into a lot of trouble and had to shut down their government-provided healthcare because they couldn't support the demand. There's all these other different reasons. Now, like I said, so while Hegseth, basically he gets to sit on his throne, be on TV. He's on Fox News. Now, again, I'll go back. Just because I'm a conservative and Republican and Trump supporter doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything that Fox News says. Because overall, in the big scheme of things, this is the one thing I disagree with completely. Now, he gets to be on TV and sit there with his extravagant private health care benefits and compensation from Fox News. And he's saying that veterans are taking advantage of the VA system. You know what? If he ever listens, and I want to tell him this, that, hey, take time to reflect and thank God that you didn't have to sacrifice your health or risk your life in a foreign country like many other brave Americans did. Because, yes, it's true that when out process, there are civilians that say, hey, put on your claims, put anything and everything that you could try to get. Yeah, get that full advantage. Because you stood up and rose your hand when many, many others did not. You went out and broke your back while doing ruck marches, God knows how many times a day, or you're in the infantry and you had to ruck up the hills and mountains of Afghanistan for 12 damn months, living in a shithole, having to eat our MREs. Yeah, fuck yeah, you deserve it. Find it, take it. If it's there, grab it. That's what the people, we voted for these, The government has been pushing to allow these programs, to allow veterans to get, because the suicide rates of veterans is still high, and it was even higher back 40, 50 years ago. We've learned from our mistakes in Vietnam and taking care of veterans after World War II. And we don't want to repeat those mistakes. That's why we're trying to push to take care of our veterans as they process out of the military and reintegrate into the American society. Because a lot of them have an issue. I have, and I still do, with transitioning and fully into a civilian life, a civilian setting, when most of my adult life has been spent in active duty military. So I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong. There's 4 million some odd people that we've increased by over 3 million using the system, using the healthcare benefits, using the compensation. That means we're doing our job to take care of the brave men and women that served their country. I'd like to get your guys' opinion on it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I full of shit? Is Hegseth full of shit? Do you disagree with him? I do. Do you agree with him? I don't. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Because, it kind of ruffles my feathers when I hear something like that. Because, the healthcare system, the VA, is not the greatest in the world, man. It's not. The wait times it's terrible. They can't even provide at VA hospitals all the healthcare for all the veterans. That's why President Trump has put billions of dollars into the choice program. Even the choice program has its flaws because you have to be referred to by a physician or by someone of authority to refer you, and then you have to wait a week or so in order to get that phone call. So, the VA healthcare system is getting better. It's getting a little bit better. It needs the funding, but that's the problem with government-funded healthcare, government-provided healthcare. So it's not like we're sitting on cloud nine, man. It's not like we're really abusing the system, man. That's not the case. Not at all. Granted, like I said before, there are leaks in that system, but they do their best to get weaned out. Anyway, so happy Monday. Great episode. Cover some great topics. We'll be back on tomorrow at the same time, 11 o'clock. Sorry for being tardy a little bit, but I hope you all enjoyed this episode. You know, we got some things covered. Like I said, we're improving bit by bit, getting some better equipment here, hopefully by the end of this week, to kind of make things look a little bit more feng shui in here. But hey, I want to thank you guys, the viewers, for coming out, watching this other episode. I want to thank you guys for following me, liking me on my Instagram and Facebook pages. You know, I really love the support. I really, really appreciate it. Everything. All of it that you guys are doing, because I'm nothing without the viewers. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And again, if you guys want to get the updates about when I put out new material, new videos, when I'm going live, please hit the subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook. That way you guys get the updates on the replay. Follow me on Instagram. The information's in the description. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week and an even better Monday. Thank you.